Alright, a question was brought up about the cold jaws and how they work. This is standard Barracuda chuck, and where normally you would have jaws on it like this, the 4 jaws, the cold jaws just mount on it the same way. Then we have pins that are movable, and you can put those at whatever diameter you need to put on your chuck. Then you would put your bowl in here. Now, one thing I've done, the standard wrench is this, and to go in here you can turn it a half turn and then have to go back and do it again. I've made an extended wrench so that I can get up here and turn it in. And now you just bring the jaws in until you're tight, and there you are, ready to go for the cold jaw chuck. Now you can face off the bottom of that tenon. Now there is a point where the jaws will go down so far in, say, this hole, and the bowl won't quite hold. It's not close enough. So you move all the pins down to this hole, and then the jaws won't open wide enough. So, what I do is I just took standard air hose, and it fits right over the pins. You can push it right on, which reduces the diameter of the pins, and now when the jaws close down, it will catch that one. Where if I had to go down to the next hole and open them up to the max and start back down, I may not need these. But I've got 8 of these cut, and I just use them, put on there, and that kind of fills in that extra blank. Alright, now sometimes to take these off, I just use a standard screwdriver and just go ahead and pry them off. Alright, there are times when we have a bowl that's shaped more like this. This is just a roughed out bowl. And of course we know that when we go in here, that little pin isn't going to catch on that. And so what they have for that is Penn State has come up with what they call a long jaw, extended jaw. This extended jaw uses an Allen wrench, and those will go in and screw right in, and now you'll have 8 of these. And as we can see here, and now with these, when our bowl sits on the chuck, that is going to catch the side of the bowl up here, instead of having one of these trying to catch it back here like this. So the extended pin jaws are pretty nice for the chuck. There are other times I do some stave bowls, and basically I just cut the little staves on the table saw and then glue up the bowl. Alright, this is going to be very hard to fit on those pins. So what I've done is I have made wedged inserts, and that wedge fits the exact shape of that stave bowl. Now I can come in here and put these on with just a 10mm screw, and then I can, put 4 of them on there and adjust them and everything and pull the jaws in the same. So that works for this style. Okay, so I've got a larger set, I've got a smaller set, I've got a set with just a straight 90 degree, and any of these will go in and bolt on these. I've also got a larger set that is tapered again back to the taper of that bowl for just a long flat jaw. And then the really interesting one I did was I ended up with some that were a little bit too big, and so I made an extension jaw for the chuck by going out here in the last hole, and now I can get it to hold out here, and of course then when I do that I can do it. The thing we have to watch is that we have the clearance on the lathe bed to clear that. I've made a little rack for my bolts for the different sets of jaws that I have built and stuff, and then I just use these as I need them. Alright, so You can bring the tailstock up and use that to hold this in, and then go ahead and turn away and leave the small pin, and then take the tailstock off just to touch up the very outside. Kind of keeps it from coming out. I have seen some people go in with masking tape, and they tape lines across and tape the jaws in. Another one I use to hold it on is I just made a donut chuck, and it's set up with eight slots in it, and then I just use some standard bolts, and I found that I can get by. These screws will go right through the holes, and I found I can get by with just 2 screws. Run the screw through, put a wing nut on the back to where it's about even, and then come 90 degrees across from it, and put a wing nut over here, center that on it, and this is just made out of 1/4-inch plywood, and I found that I can just basically flex the plywood enough to tighten it up and hold it on. And so now we've got a donut chuck on our cold jaw, and our piece can't come off at all. Then we can just go in and face it up. We don't even need the tailstock. Now, of course, if this was a bigger piece, I wouldn't have enough bolt. So what I've got is some longer bolts, so that I can, set up with the donut chuck longer if I need it. But using the shorter bolts, I just don't have to thread as much. And on the back, I've put some just foam rubber so that the edges of the plywood don't dig into the bowl. The foam hits the bowl first.